I've been procrastinating on getting this done. I don't know.
That's all right.
Have you been
Do what?
have you been busy today?
We did. We went to the Heart Walk. So usually it's in Dallas. Every year, Encore joins the Heart Walk, and they usually like
Mm-hmm.
pay for your gas and your hotel, and you go and it's this big deal. And there's several other companies and all this stuff. This year, the PUC came against Encore and like said, "Hey, you guys have spent so much money," and so they're like, "Hey, we're just going to give each service center like $2,500, and y'all make the best of it." So we just had a local Heart Walk. So we went and did that this morning, and just kind of hung out in town for a little bit, and then came home and relaxed for a little while, and then I empty and loaded
Nice.
the dishes. It was like a mound of like Mount Kilimanjaro. It was huge. So anyway,
Yeah.
it's been busy.
Oh man, yeah. Well, I wish I had a little bit. It's been busy here too. I mean, it just seems like I meant to bring it up the other day. So we're guys, welcome to Undaunted Pursuit podcast. We're just kind of visiting here, killing some time before our guest comes on. And actually, to be real honest with you, we're pulling some podcast magic out here on you guys because we're recording this intro a couple days after the actual podcast that we're getting ready to share with you. So,
Oh yeah.
but it's going to meld together like we did this just prior to. So anyway, other than that, I just wanted to get on here with you, Marshall, and do this little intro and just kind of make it a little bit longer because it was kind of a shorter podcast, and not that it went bad by any means, but it was a great podcast. And actually, there's some really good things that I haven't even shared with you that have come out of it. So
come on.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah.
Whoa. Did the Lord come back? It just got real bright in there.
Yeah.
I missed it. Dadgummit, what'd I do wrong?
Yeah, it just all of a sudden got really bright in here. So I sit in this dungeon of a room to do this podcast, and then when one of the kids open up the door, and especially this time in the afternoon, the sun is shining right in the door. So if you open up that door, the whole room lights up. And so
yeah, and on the camera on your computer,
it looks like the Lord's coming right through my door.
Whoa. Yeah.
I should have. If I was, what's the word? Quick-witted enough, I guess, or if I was a little more astute, I guess I could think of something real quick and be like, "Oh, hey, yes, Lord."
Just bow down.
He just likes to come
knees.
visit me every now and then. Aaron, your head just hit the table. What's up?
That's funny.
Oh, so anyway, so so that's what I was going to tell you. It's nice and sunny, but fall is in full swing. I mean, we're seeing high 30s in the night and low 70s during the day, and maybe even a little bit lower. It was the high the other day that we did that podcast that we're getting ready to introduce. The high that day, I was freezing in here when I did that podcast because it was,
Really?
I don't know, 55, 59 degrees that day for a high.
Sounds good. That sounds good to me. Today I want to say it probably got to 100 degrees today. And, this past week, it's probably been like in the 80s and 90s because we've had some rain and stuff. And so I think starting this Sunday and into next week, it's supposed to be like in the 80s. And it's getting down into like the 60s at night now, which is fantastic. But yeah, no, I wish it would I can't wait till it gets cooler here. I personally love the cooler weather. Not freezing cold, but I like it to be cooler.
Well, see, you know what the crazy thing is we've been looking at the weather in Arkansas, and it seems that it started to cool off there as well, especially in the area that we're looking at. Yeah. It seems like it's cooling off.
Mm-hmm. You're gonna have to tell me the area you're looking at. Maybe not now, but later on.
Oh yeah. Well, I have every intention. So I did the other day. I used Brother Booth's one of his other songs that he sent us, and I used some of his stuff, and I got to thinking about him the other day. I was like, I can't wait to get over there and meet him because he is such a cool guy. And
he's in Arkansas, right?
So yeah, he's in Little Rock.
Oh, okay.
And it seems his wife runs some sort of like little, his wife, it seems to be, from what I can see on Facebook, his wife runs this, like, it's called Royal Knickknacks, and it looks like some pretty delicious baked goods. So I don't know. You guys listening, go check it out. Royal Knickknacks on there. Yeah, I'm gonna have to tell them that I kind of plugged their business a little bit. So, but yeah. Anyway, yeah, I don't want to say. I don't want to say too much. We had a there's been a lot. Yeah, I can't. I want to say something. But I just can't.
There's been a lot going on. There's right a lot in motion. And it's looking maybe some good things are coming. So it's good stuff.
Yeah. Hold on just a second. Okay. That was the kids have some friends over, that they're from like the yard in back of us, and they've never actually played with them before. They just happen to be visiting. I don't know what her dad said. I just met the dad. He hollered over the fence. He's like, "Hey, it looks like these kids want to play." I was like, hey, "Yeah, come on." Yeah, they're free to play. Cool. Whatever.
Awesome.
But yeah, but no. Anyway, there's a lot going on, and it's exciting. It's nerve-wracking. It's exciting and stuff. But like I said, a lot had come out of that, and I'll have to share that on another podcast because it's kind of weird that we're doing this before or after that podcast, and with what we're getting ready, the guests that we're having tonight. Yeah. But anyway, so it's good stuff, man. Let's see here. Other than that, I finally brewed some more sweet tea. I can't get enough of this stuff, man. What's funny though is Ashley cuts me off for a while when we get to, because sugar is so dang expensive.
Well, it's not
when
good
we
for
drink
you.
Like 5 gallons. Yeah, it's good for you. And when you drink like 5 gallons of it in a week, then you start going through sugar a lot. Or I'm exaggerating. I'm not exaggerating. It's more like maybe 5 gallons in a couple of days. And it's not all my fault. It's the kids.
So do you guys buy like those 5-pound bags of like cane sugar from Walmart? Because I would.
We buy the 25-pound bags of sugar, not 5. We've got this big Rubbermaid tote. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say like the big bag on the bottom shelf. That's what y'all buy? Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. That's crazy.
And if we try and keep 2 on hand. I mean, we use enough sugar, because forget that fake junk. There is not. Let me tell you, Marshall, there is not a sugar substitute that tastes worth a darn. Aside from,
not at all.
I'm a little wrong on that. There is only one sweetener that does kind of compare, but it still doesn't. It's a good sweetener. It doesn't leave a terrible aftertaste like most artificial or other sugar substitutes. But it's monk fruit sweetener is probably the next best thing. It doesn't hold a candle to regular sugar, but that monk fruit sweetener is the next best thing.
Yeah, Kelsey's cooked with that monk fruit stuff a time or two. I don't know what with, but she utilizes that. We have all sorts of junk in the pantry, but we usually just try to stick to pure sugar if we're cooking something or doing something, whatever. Of course, I don't do much cooking. She does all the baking and cooking and all that good stuff. Unless it's grilling. If it's grilling, I'll go outside and I do the grilling. But yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, exactly. Oh man. Okay. So what do we go through the most? Of course, is we buy the 25-pound bags of sugar and the 25-pound bags of flour, because we go through flour quite a bit too, because we make a lot of our own breads. So we use a lot of flour every day in our sourdough. But Ashley's constantly making sourdough something: sourdough cake, sourdough cookie, sourdough pancake, sourdough bread, sourdough pretzel bites. It's sourdough everything. And I'm telling you, dude, it is the stinking best. So what do we go through the most is sugar, flour, and butter. Lots and lots of butter.
Now I know that bread's good. I've had the bread before. I know that's delicious, and I'm missing it. I mean, that's been years and years ago that we had some of that bread. So I'm looking forward to things changing so I can come over for dinner. It's only a stone's throw away.
I know
4 or 5
I know
hours, but hey, it's worth a 4 or 5
it
hour
will be.
drive.
Yeah. Well, and oh, dude, and we're looking forward to it because she had we made a mistake. We bought some of that wheat flour on sale
Yeah.
for it was cheap, and it doesn't work for sourdough. You need regular like unbleached or white flour or bleached flour or whatever, however it is, the white flour. But anyway, Ashley has a recipe for regular like honey wheat bread that doesn't work at this elevation. So it'll be nice to get back down into that 2, 3, 400 sea level instead of 3,000.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. No, that'll be good. It's good stuff.
But boy, I didn't really see that taking the turn like that.
Like we've said a billion times, oftentimes when Aaron and I get on here, we end up talking about food of some sort or drink, or it always somehow it ends up down that road. I don't know.
Oh man. All right. Well, so we have a guest tonight, and he's really cool, and like I said, we're pulling some podcast magic here because we've already recorded this episode and done this interview, and now I've had a chance to listen to several of his podcast episodes and stuff, which is they're doing great, man. I don't know if you've had a chance to listen to them yet, Marshall, but they have a great podcast. It's a great ministry that they're doing. And it's just, I'm really impressed with, especially with as new as they are. And he impressed me, which is you'll hear us talk about it on the when we get going here. That how we kind of found each other, and now it's awesome to have him on our podcast. So tonight we're interviewing or just sitting down and chatting with a guy. His name is Donnie Lakes. He's with Ride of Your Life Ministries. They run Ride of Your Life podcast too, which is found anywhere, and he'll plug that as well because we encourage that. But yeah, so that's who we have on tonight, Marshall.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to it. He's based on what I've heard and read about him in his ministry, man, he's a great guy. Of course, but I know we've already done the podcast previously, but aside from that, awesome ministry, got a lot going on, man. The Lord is really just taking them and just like launching them. And it's pretty cool to talk with a guy like himself and what they have going on.
There's a whole lot more to that ministry than what meets the eye or that. So we'll see how far into this we go. But it's cool. You guys need to check it out. Listen to this podcast. And definitely share it and go check out Ride of Your Life Ministries. It's just a really unique, like a lot of our guests on here normally, it's just a unique way, another unique way to share Jesus. So I'm really excited about this interview.
Yeah, Ride of Your Life Ministries. Good stuff. ROYL. It's almost like royal. When I first read it, I was like, royal.
It is. They say on their podcast. Cool. Yep. That's exactly what they say on their podcast, that it's royal without the A. So, well, without further ado, let's get into this. Let's get this thing rolling. And guys, we'll see you on the other side.
Fearless.
Chase.
Bold.
Following.
Courageous.
Search. I'm Aaron.
And I'm Marshall.
And this is
Undaunted
Pursuit. Okay, hey guys, we're back. Welcome back to Undaunted Pursuit podcast. And like we said before, we have a special guest for you this week. His name is Donnie Lakes. And I'm just going to kind of turn this over to him, let him tell you. I reached out to him thinking that his story was intriguing, and I know we've already been over this, but anyway, so Ride of Your Life Ministries, Donnie Lakes, thanks, man, for agreeing to be on here and do this.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, and it's weird being on the other side of the mic. I'm usually the one that's interviewing, and
Yeah.
doing podcast content. So it's definitely neat to be able to be here with you guys tonight.
I'm not going to lie. Every time we have another podcaster on here, it makes me just a little nervous because I mean we're nobody. All we're trying to do is spread God's word, and it's not like this is like a huge podcast. So I'm just a little nervous every time we have another podcaster on here because it's like, oh man, the bar is already set high.
I feel the same thing when I have people come on our show. It's like, oh, I hope nothing goes wrong. It's like technology has a life of its own. I have a degree and background in media and technology, so sometimes it's been my friend, sometimes it hasn't. So, well, as I say with my co-host Ryan, it's like we just roll with it and let the Lord take control. That's all we can do.
Yep.
That's so true.
Cool. Yeah. No, I reached out to you. I'm glad you know. So here's a little backstory for anybody listening, for any of our listeners. Is I'm kind of cruising Facebook, looking at our Facebook page, and Donnie was on there asking for people to. You guys are setting up for your season, and we'll talk about your podcast and all that here in just a minute.
Okay.
But you guys are setting up for guests on your podcast, and I was like, oh, hold on a second. You sound pretty interesting. Your ministry sounds really interesting. Why don't you you want to be on our podcast? Because I just want to talk with you.
Again, thank you guys so much for having me on tonight. We'll definitely try to get you on our podcast as well. But it's just neat how the Lord has brought us to where we are with Thrive Your Life Ministries. And it really just goes along with my testimony. And I grew up in a Christian home, godly family, awesome parents. At the young age of 7, I believe, in the fall, actually October 24th, 2004, I accepted Jesus Christ as my personal Lord and Savior. And it wasn't anything I could do. It was simply faith in Jesus Christ and what he did on the cross for my sins. So after that, I followed him in believer's baptism. And it was 1 year on a summer trip to a youth camp in Tennessee. It's called Fort Bluff Camp. There I surrendered to ministry and what God would have for me to do. And ever since I've just been praying and seeking God's will. Because when you think of ministry, you think of, are you going to be a pastor? Are you going to be a missionary? There's so many ministry, quote unquote, things that come to mind when we think of a calling. But since then, the Lord's opened many doors of opportunity. And like I said, I have a media technology background. So I'm like, I really didn't pursue a Bible college per se, but through that, I had the opportunity to intern at a church near where I live and their media ministry. And from there, I got a little bit of ministry, preaching, teaching side of experience as well. But mainly it's focusing on graphic design, web design, all that good stuff. But through that, I met the pastor of my now wife, met the pastor of her church, and he gave me a staff position at the church. And I served on staff for 3 years, and then the Lord called me off staff because I was a newly married guy, and I just knew that God was calling me away to invest into my new family. So through that, stepping off staff, I just prayed, God, open up a door of opportunity and ministry for me to minister to people. And through that time, just waiting and trusting the Lord. My wife and I are huge vlogger fans. We love watching theme park vlogs, especially. So we watch the Tim Trackers, all those guys. But we're like, let's go ahead and give this a run. Let's try this vlogging thing. And through it, we tried it. We hated it. And is in the process of that, we were thinking we could write a book on our story. It's neat how the Lord brought us two together. So we're like, let's call it The Ride of Your Life, and just write our story, do this vlogging thing. Again, like I said, it flopped and we just hated it. So we stopped doing it. But through that, I met another Christian content creator named Ryan Subler, who has a ministry called Christian Coasters. And through that, I shared this thought I had of, I'm going to write this book called Ride of Your Life. And I eventually want to do an outlet of this to where I'm doing Christian content, kind of like what you're doing. We could probably work together. And he's like, yeah, dude, you have no idea. You are God sent. I was thinking about doing this ministry with other Christian content creators. And from that, the Lord just brought the pieces together, and here we are, Right of Your Life Ministries, 1 year later, and it's just neat to see the Lord's hand of guidance and opening doors, closing doors, people come and going with our ministry. But where it is now, it's like it's a God thing, and I'm sure we could talk about it later on in the podcast. But it's just neat to see the hand of the Lord in a ministry that isn't like any other ministry. And what we like to focus on is reaching enthusiasts, mainly in the coaster theme park community. And through that, we are able to reach other enthusiasts, Christian music enthusiasts, themed entertainment, fill in the blank. Anybody who has like a hobby or passion that they love, we're trying to reach them. But our main calling is to reach folks in that coaster theme park community, just because there are people that are usually looked past and kind of seen as weird and outcast misfits. I believe that's our mission field, is to reach those folks and to share the love of Jesus Christ. There is hope, there is love, and there's peace in Jesus Christ. So that's kind of my testimony of where I'm coming from and how we got to Right of Your Life Ministries.
Dude, that's awesome. Heck yeah. Now, okay, yeah, I got several questions here. There's nothing wrong with anybody liking roller coasters, and it doesn't make you it doesn't make you creepy, especially when you have kids too. You know, I got 5 of them, so I still can get down on some roller coasters, you know. Yeah. But so anyway, so how does it work though? Like, you know, when you think of a ministry, and you know, we've had several other people on here that run ministries and stuff. They normally do they get together. They have get-togethers, and they normally have some sort of fellowship and some sort of message, spreading the gospel. How is Right of Your Life Ministries kind of structured in that? Do you guys put something out on social media, meet at a theme park, let's talk about Jesus a little bit, let's go have some fun riding coasters, or how does that work?
Absolutely. And our main focus right now is getting in social media and content. So as we mentioned, we have a podcast called the Ride of Your Life Podcast. We're reaching folks who could listen to this on their way to a theme park. We start off each episode with, as we call it, a word from the Word, where one of our guys takes a scripture and applies it to everyday life. So through that, we open it up, do a little introduction, Ryan and I, just go back and forth and all that. And then we have a main segment where we always point it straight to God's Word, whether it's through a testimony or, again, expanding on a piece of scripture, whether it may be even a biblical topic. We want to share the gospel and incorporate folks' interest of coasters and parks. So we do all of that. And then at the end, we always tie in, like, what's the latest coaster news, theme park news, all that stuff, to where they're getting the gospel, but what they're looking for as far as the latest, biggest, greatest news of whatever it may be. So, and then we do have a plan that we're not quite ready to share yet, of just some new methods of outreach. But this past year, we had a meetup at our home park, Kings Island, here in Cincinnati. But they have an event every year called Spirit Song, and they have some of the biggest names in Christian artists. So they had Skillet, Crowder, Toby Mac, Torrin Wells, all these big name artists come in for the week.
Dang.
So they're bringing in
awesome.
both Christians and non-Christians, especially with Skillet. So that Saturday when Skillet was headlining, we had a meetup. It wasn't a big group this year since we're brand new and trying to get the word out, but we're using that opportunity to just spend time with folks, invest in them, and let them know, hey, we're here, we're a ministry, we want to invest in you and show you the love and hope that we have in Jesus Christ. So that's one of the things we're working on, and hoping to go around the country and do more of these little pop-up events and meetups. So that's one thing we're working on with the gospel.
You know, it's funny that you said that, because we kind of have a similar. No, of course, you know, that's always the goal with all of us. You know, those of us that have been called. You know, we're doing this podcast as part of our ministry, and what do we want to see? Maybe us getting in touch with you. We had discussed Marshall and I on the podcast about kind of building a conference, so to speak, and just kind of doing what you guys have a similar vision as to what we have here on Dawn of Pursuit podcast. And how cool would it be just to get everybody together and do that and get some of those bigger names like that? And let's just go all out,
Yeah. And that's one of the things that's in my brain, not fully ready to share those ideas, but something I would love to do someday is do a mini event like that at a park. A lot of these parks have like amphitheater where they have all these concerts, but to bring in an artist and to ultimately share the gospel is something I would love to do someday. Is to see that, bring people to where they're comfortable, to where walls are being broken down, to where they're receptive to the gospel and where they can accept it and apply it to their lives.
Yeah, and well, you guys said that you were into not just. Go ahead, Marshall.
No, I was going to say, if something ever comes to one day, I know of a really good place down in Glen Rose, Texas called The Promise, and they have a huge amphitheater down there, and man, it's a beautiful location. And I tell you what, might be something there.
We shall see. We're open to whatever God brings our way and whatever doors He swings open for us. We're ready to walk through those, and I think the pieces are slowly coming together for that. So we shall see.
Heck yeah. Yeah, maybe we could. We'll see. Well, it wouldn't be that far of a drive for you, I guess. You could do it in the Mall of America because doesn't that have a indoor roller coaster? So then we could mix up that theme with your. That'd be all right, wouldn't it?
That'd be pretty neat.
That'd be really cool.
Yeah. Well, aside from that, Marshall, do you have any questions for Donnie?
A lot of the questions I had written down, you have answered in a very roundabout way. So, I got some questions maybe just later on down the road during the podcast. But right now, I'm just kind of taking in what you're sharing with us here, and just really, you've already shared kind of y'all's purpose and y'all's goal, and what started Right of Your Life. You kind of already touched on that as well. And you've even touched on the vision and kind of where that vision came from. I'm just here.
I told you I was shooting off the hip. But one thing I want to ask you is, how soon? What came first, Right of Your Life Ministries or the podcast? Or how did that work out? How new are you guys in the podcasting world?
So Right of Your Life came first, and when going into this ministry, it was not even a thought. So we were planning on doing, obviously, social media content, outreach in the park, and create some merch and things like that to where we strike up a conversation. But Ryan, my co-host and my friend, he was like, dude, I've been wanting to do a podcast for the longest time. I attempted it a few times, got a few episodes in, never released them. Let's try this. So I'm like, okay, I've had a few podcasts I've done that never really went anywhere. So I'm like, I got the equipment, I got it, let's try it. So we did a few test pilots of it, and we're like, we could do this, dude. The first season, I'm going to be honest, and I tell everybody this, the first season was a train wreck. And we didn't know what we were doing. We're getting our feet wet in the water a little bit. But season 2, we really thought we took the best of the things that worked and things that didn't work and worked with those to where we have our season today, where our main focus ultimately is the gospel and Jesus Christ, while providing what people are looking for is that news and tips and tricks and all that stuff. But so the podcast came a little bit later into the process of Right of Your Life, which we're not even 1 year into this ministry fully yet. So it's just it's just neat to see again where God has led us thus far and where He's going.
Yeah. So. There's still a lot of growing to do. Yeah, there you go.
It's coming to me now, No, so I'm looking at your website over here, and you guys have something coming up, a show coming up on a radio station. Can you kind of touch on that, or kind of give us an idea as to what that is?
Yeah, so this is another God sent thing. It's like radio was never in my thought at all.
No
This was
kidding.
definitely a God thing. So the same group where I met you guys on Facebook, I met the owner of this radio station called Fruitful Radio. Their overall branch is called Fruitful Media. And through there, we just started talking. And he's like, how about we put you guys and make your own show? I'm like, have you really heard the season 1 of our podcast? It's like, I don't think we could do a radio show. But he's like, hey, let's give it a shot. Let's try this out. I'm like, okay. So on Fruitful Radio, we're premiering actually in a week or two with our show. We're taking the best from our podcast. So all of our interviews. Some of the interviews we've had so far, we have an author who's actually a pastor. His name is Justin Risley. He wrote a book called Chasing Roller Coasters, taking the elements of a theme park. He even has a chapter called Chapter 0. You got to start somewhere. So he's like, I had all these thoughts, but I couldn't redo the book. So he made Chapter 0, but takes you through the whole process from driving, getting to the ticket booth, all that stuff. He applies it to the Christian life. Awesome book. So we had him.
Wow.
That's awesome.
We recently had a up-and-coming contemporary Christian artist. She's open for Spoken, Torn Wells, some of the big names. And she's just sharing her heart and her vision for her music ministry. And this week we're premiering a episode and this is one where I didn't know what people's response would be to it. It's an owner and creator of a haunted attraction down in Plain City, Florida. His name is Zach Glaros, and his haunted trail is called Sir Henry's Haunted Trail. And he uses that as a ministry to reach folks. So all of his haunted houses and trails go back to the gospel. So each maze has a scripture to back it up. So he compares it.
Hold on a second. I gotta. Never mind. I'm gonna have to say that again because I'm just gonna go back and listen to it. I'll write it down when I'm editing this podcast.
His name is Zach Glaros, and he is the owner of Sir Henry's Haunted Trail in Plain City, Florida. Yeah. And he compares it. I'd recommend everybody checking out this interview. It is probably my favorite interview so far, and we have some really cool guests coming up soon. But Zach, it started as like a little home haunted house type thing, but each of his trails is like a mini parable, but with like a Halloween type feel to it. So so he gives a pamphlet out. Every person that comes to get this pamphlet. On the front, it tells the story of the trails that you have. And on the back, it gives scripture to back up those stories and where he got the vision for these stories. So, and the whole event is based around the verse where it talks about how can they hear without a preacher. So he's using this platform and vision of media and entertainment meets faith. So that's his kind of mission statement for this. And he is so cool to talk to, down to earth guy. And they're actually opening this weekend as of this recording. And it's just neat to see that. And it's just cool how the Lord brought that little ministry to us to introduce that to folks. No, not all Halloween things need to be spooky, gory, blood, guts, demonic stuff. It's like you can have a fun time and still share the gospel in a non-cheesy way.
Exactly.
But
that's so cool.
And then we have a Christian rock artist coming on soon. And I'm not saying who it is yet. It's a pretty big name. And it's just neat how the Lord opened this door for us to talk to him. And then a few other things throughout the season. But it's just where the podcast has gone is just so neat. And then we're taking those to the radio. So the best of those interviews and talks and things like that are coming with us. And we have a few little things that we're working on content-wise, which we're going to be revealing here soon on our channel.
Wow. It better not be Dang Disciple. I've been talking back and forth with them about getting on this podcast, and they just thinking they've gotten back to me. I've talked to them back and forth, and they just won't. They keep. I met him in person, and I talked to him in person about it, and he was like, "Oh man, yeah. Well, as soon as we're done touring, we'll get on there. We'll get on with you." And then I haven't heard from him. I haven't pressured him either. So
my buddy Ryan, my co-host Ryan, he's friends with some really big Christian rock band folks in there. He's done photography for them. So so the group that we're going to be interviewing, he's done a few of their shows when they've come locally, and it's pretty cool.
Oh,
So,
I'm going to have to, I'll have to listen to that one.
So stay tuned. That episode will be premiering in November. We have 2 big name interviews coming up in November, which we haven't reviewed.
Dude.
So
awesome. Here, that's why I love doing this. I love the different ways that Jesus can be shared, the different ministries. Just like you're saying, I'm stoked about that. About hearing your podcast with that haunted house and the way he runs that ministry. I will be listening to that. I promise. Just because it's just really cool.
Yeah,
that's why we do this.
And it's one of those things again where I was like, do we want to do this? Do we not want to do this? It's like I'm just going to take a leap of faith. What happens happens.
Yep.
It's like people can think what they want to think. It's like, but I know this ministry is legit. This dude's legit. And we even say it on the episode, we're backing you up, dude. Like, if there's any way we give you a blessing to you, let us know. It's like, we want to see people saved, even through a Halloween event, because this event's well known in Florida. It's one of the biggest haunts. It's actually won numerous awards for some of the best mazes and Halloween event down there. So, and it's one that vloggers like rave about and say it's one of our favorites. It's up there with Universal and SeaWorld and all that stuff. But it's just neat to see that.
Wow.
Actually, season 3 of our podcast, we're going to be expanding on some more hobbies and ministries. And there's a family that does professional like extreme sports, so like scootering, skateboarding and stuff like that. We're going to have them on, hopefully.
I've messaged them, I believe.
The Keffers.
I can't. Maybe it wasn't a family. It was actually there's a couple of ministries out there like that do they're extreme sports ministries, much like that.
Okay.
I'll have to put you in touch with some of the other guys. If you go back, you'll have to listen to some of the extreme sports that we've done. It's really awesome. But anyway, so go on. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Oh, you're fine. But we're just trying to reach different demographics of people. And like kind of what you guys are doing is just, there's more than just coasters that these people love. They love sports. They love, obviously, haunted attractions, music, and things like that. We're trying to reach different people with different outlets. And it's just neat that God can, as the Bible says, he chooses the foolish things of this world to confound the wise. And it's, if you could take a roller coaster and bring someone to Jesus, totally worth it. And that's how I view this ministry. Is like, if you could take a roller coaster, you could take a skateboard, music, whatever it may be. If it brings them to Jesus, I don't care what outlet you take.
Yep, for sure.
I love it.
So, yeah, you've kind of touched on it a little bit. I was going to ask where you planned on, where do you kind of see it going as far as, like, we all know that we want all of our podcasts to be successful, but Ride of Your Life Ministries, that's your main deal. Where do you see that going in the future? We kind of talked about the future of your podcast, and it's awesome. We have the same ambitions. What about the ministry? What do we kind of foresee with that?
Again, it's one of those things where I'm praying about and seeking the Lord, but my vision in my head is seeing all of the time zones represented in this ministry. So a lot of our team right now is in the Eastern time zone, but we want to expand it all the way out to California. We want to try to get folks from around the country to help reach people that we probably won't ever be able to reach. But we're using the technology and gifts and abilities God has given us so far. Until he opens doors of opportunity and brings people across our paths, we're just going to keep chugging along. And then, like I mentioned, there's some little events and things like that that I would love to see. And again, it has to be God thing. I'm not going to rush anything. I'm going to let God take the complete control over that. But just use what we have now. And that's where God's got us. So keep on casting visions and see where he leads.
Heck yeah. Well, shoot, man. So we go ahead, Marshall. If you have anything kind of if you want to start rounding us out here.
Yeah, no, I just have one more question for you, and you may have touched on this briefly earlier, but your study guide. Can you hear me, guys? Okay, sorry, my computer does something really weird.
Yep, go ahead.
So your study guide that you guys have out right now, chasing roller coasters. Can you kind of touch on that a little bit? Kind of tell us what that's all about.
Absolutely. And that goes back to the guy that we had on our podcast. His name is Justin Risley. He is a pastor of a church in, I forget the state. I believe it's West Virginia. I'm sorry, Justin, if I got the wrong state, but he has the same passion as us with coasters, and how God crossed our paths is really neat. So there's a few people on our page that are very active with it and very responsive, and they know Justin. So they're like, hey, you need to get a hold of these guys, see if they'll sell your book on their store and all that. If anything, just build a friendship, get to talk to each other. And
Gotcha, yeah.
Ryan and I at the time were thinking like, well, we need some guests on the podcast. Let's see if he's willing to do an interview. So we met him over our program that we use for our podcast, got to know him a little bit, and from there built a friendship. And just some of the neat outlets he has with his book, Chasing Roller Coasters, it's awesome. So that study guide that you see there, it's literally the book, but also like something you could use in a small group setting. So it has devotional content to go past your midweek service or whatever it may be that you're using the book for, and just continue that thought until the next chapter. So it's really neat, and I'd highly recommend it to anyone that's looking for something, especially for teens and those who love like the theme park type things.
Yeah,
it's just neat to see where God's been using that, and he's told us some great stories about that and just how he got good response from it. And he's actually writing a few more books on the one he's about to release later this year is about basically raising warriors, raising men to be men. And I'm like, heck yeah, dude, we're backing that up. It's like, we need men.
Yeah.
We don't need boys. We need men.
100%.
And, it's like, we're getting you back on once you're done with this book, dude. We're going to be one of the first endorsers of this book. We're like, but that's really where that study guide came from. And that's all Justin. And we're just there to, like I said, support him. We're all for his ministry and what he's doing.
Awesome. Cool deal.
Sweet. Yeah. Heck, you guys, for being, I'm incredibly impressed. It's hard. And I'm sure you have a full-time job. You guys, I'm impressed with all the stuff you guys have going on and what you're able to do. And I don't know, you guys have seasons. We are normally flying by the seat of our pants. I'm getting off of work. I'm racing in here to try and record an episode on a Thursday night, and then that's off on a Monday. Is when it's dropping. But yeah, you guys, it really looks like you guys got it together. I've loved our discussion this evening, and man, you guys just you keep it up. And that's the idea here, is to try and get you guys noticed, and just because it's such a cool ministry.
Praise the Lord. It's just neat again that he's choosing just common people to take the gospel to folks who need it, and that's really how we view this ministry. It's just our way of giving our gifts, talents, abilities, and hobbies back to the Lord. And we believe he'll use that for his good, like his word says, that all things work together for good to them that love God and are called according to his purpose.
That's awesome. So Donnie, where can people find y'all and follow you guys? And if they want to get a hold of you guys, how can they do that?
Yeah, absolutely. One of our key things that we're really pushing things on is Instagram. You can find us at Rive Your Life Ministries on Instagram, also on Facebook and Threads. We're really active on those three platforms right now. You can visit our website, riveyourlifeministries.com. Check out that. It gives our statement of faith, who we are, our mission. And then here soon, you'll be able to listen to us on the Fruitful Radio, which is fruitfulradio.app. And we'll be having some content on there soon. But you can find us on all major platforms for podcasts, for the Rive Your Life podcast, which airs each Monday. and we'll be wrapping up this coming season in November, right after Thanksgiving. So that's really how you can reach out to us. We'd love to connect with anyone who's willing to reach out to us.
Awesome.
Heck yeah. Sweet. Dude, thank you for being on here. And, we've got, I forgot, I'm a bad husband for the most part. I forgot that when we scheduled this, my wife had stuff going on. Well, then she canceled it. And then I get home today and she's like, hey, I got to go here. She's got to go to the church and set up some youth, do something with some youth event that we're doing here in town here.
Yeah.
They're doing some sort of amazing race thing. So she's like, hey, as soon as you're done, I need you to watch the kids so that I can go and do this. I was like, all right. I'll try not to make it too long. But what we like to do on here is we like to add a little pre-show deal before bringing you on. So, of course, we do that. And then so this will end up being a little bit longer of an episode with you on the back end of it. But, man, keep it up. I loved this. I loved being able to sit down and talk with you. And whether you're 8 or 80, you're never too young. You're never too old for roller coasters or extreme sports, and especially when it has to do with Jesus, right?
Absolutely.
I had one question I forgot to ask earlier. And
Sure.
You're probably about the same age as us anyway. You remember the computer game where you used to build roller coasters?
Yeah, Roller Coaster Tycoon.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah. Did you like that? I used to love playing that game.
Yeah. And I am not afraid to say I still play it every now and then. It's fun little.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I couldn't
Whenever I have
even
free
begin
time,
to know where it's at.
Yeah, it's like I enjoy it whenever I have free time, but I don't know what free time is anymore. So,
right.
Just being able to plug the podcast and make you all think that we got it together. It's like we're still trusting the Lord, but life is crazy, as you guys know. But we just keep chugging along. So.
Yeah, say, hey guys, it may sound like we have it all together, but I just ran in here after running through the house and grabbing a snack and grabbing a drink to get out here and do this podcast, and then it's off to the races again as soon as we're off of this podcast. So, yeah.
Absolutely.
All right. Hey, Donnie, man, thank you. I need you to stay on for just a little bit as soon as we end this. So that way everything downloads and does that whole technology thing we were talking about earlier. So, hey, guys, thanks for listening to Undaunted Pursuit podcast. We are glad you joined us. Make sure you go check out Donnie. I'm going to put all of his links and stuff in the show notes here. And huge thank you to the musician we're going to use this week. I did get word that Rusty Drake is dropping a new single, but I don't know if he's going to have it dropped by the time. Anyway, I've used him before, so we'll see whoever it is. Their links will be in the show notes as well. But as always, Marshall, send people to where we need to go.
All right, guys, go on out and check out. Of course, you can follow us at Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or maybe it's called X now. I don't know. I can't keep track of all that stuff nowadays. Follow us on there. Give us a like. Of course, you can listen to us on any platform where you can listen to music or podcast, Apple iTunes, Spotify, all those good places. And, of course, you can check us out. Or if you want to reach out to us, you guys can shoot us an email at undauntedpursuit.com. We'd love to hear from you guys. Love to chat with y'all. So don't ever be afraid to reach out to us, whether it's on social media or through the email. Guys, thanks again for listening to us. We appreciate y'all. We love y'all, and we look forward to talking to y'all again.
Yep. All right, that's it. See you guys later. Bye.
Down in the streets, we're all too blind to see. There's a beggar over there. Yeah, he's looking for something to eat. Wanna change the world, we gotta pray. Jesus is the only here inside. You can see it in their eyes. You want to change the world, we gotta pray. Jesus is the only way. Want to change the world, we gotta pray. Jesus is the only way. Yeah. Babies having babies. Yeah, the world's gone crazy. What was in the air? There's fighting everywhere. Wanna change the world, we gotta pray. Jesus is the only way. Wanna change the world, we gotta pray. Jesus is the only way. Yeah.